Joining me now to talk about all of this, the theft of intellectual property, the upcoming G20 meeting that will feature a meeting between President Xi and President Trump. Professor Paul Bracken, Professor of Political Science and Business at Yale University. Great to see you.
Good to be here.
This is a really lousy way to begin a meeting, isn't it? With these arrests of Chinese spies. We know there are about all sorts of front companies that the Chinese keep operating here. We're only now beginning to take action against them.
It's only really in about the past year, maybe the past 2 years, that this issue has surfaced of how much intellectual looting that has occurred for decades, really, from American companies, particularly American and Japanese companies operating in China, where people would walk out the door with a USB stick with the intellectual property on it and open up a competitive organization next door. And
the Chinese have built an economy on doing precisely that.
It's really quite interesting. They have taken a lot of these designs and going directly head-to-head against us. Look at high-speed rail transit. The Chinese have stolen designs from Siemens and Bombardier and others, and we know this. But the other thing is they're reverse engineering it for a global market. So they'll steal a lot of like medical technology, stents, implants, reverse engineer it to make it much less reliable and cheaper to produce, and then sell it in Latin America and Africa, going head-to-head against our companies.
And corporate America hasn't done nearly enough, just aside from the government-to-government issues, but U.S. multinationals haven't done nearly enough to protect that intellectual property, technology, you name it.
That is correct, and they feel that the U.S. government has not supported them. If I had a nickel for every multinational who's come to me and said, we ran to the ambassador in Beijing, the U.S. ambassador, to complain about this theft, and my reaction is just, well, good luck. You might hear from them in 2 or 3 years. We issue diplomatic protests, but they would harvest more intellectual property.
Are we really such fools that for the past, excuse me, the past 30 years, we would put write a little piece of paper and put a protest on the desk of the Chinese ambassador or the Chinese government in Beijing? We're just abject fools, aren't we?
We have been fools, but this being foolish has worked because the American economy, until the last 10 or 20 years, was going pretty well.
Until the last 10 or 20 years.
Yeah. Well, the performance of the economy has declined in terms of hollowing out the middle class, flat wage growth. And it took 20 years to build up this pressure to look at the world in a different way. The intellectual...
And Donald Trump.
And President Trump, to be fair. And the policy elites in Washington. I'll give you an interesting statistic. Most people don't know this, that most think tanks were created after World War II in the Cold War. In the last 10 years, every single think tank of any consequence has moved inside the Washington Beltway. And they're at the...
Looking for crumbs.
Looking for crumbs, and also looking at a very short-term set of issues. And larger issues like how technological innovation can be borrowed, unquote, i.e. stolen, and used to ramp up your own gross domestic product, as China has been doing. That has received very little attention in the think tank world.
Yeah, the think tank world does precious little thinking. It has been my experience. The second part of that is I'm not quite sure who they're thinking for. For example, H.R. McMaster, working with a think tank for 10 years while a senior officer in the United States military. That is mind-boggling to me, that could be not only permitted, but encouraged by the Pentagon.
There's real issues with the think tank, if not as a locus of innovation for new ideas with them, where do you get it? And one answer is the universities, and we don't that has some issues there. But the issues of there are hitting of such a scale that you just simply can't control them anymore, and they're bursting onto the scene like Chinese intellectual property theft and U.S. foreign policy and support for overseas countries that can well defend themselves.
Yeah, you mentioned, and we'll touch on this just lightly. The fact is that ideas, origination of intellectual capital, a great deal of it does occur on university campuses, in fact. but also there is not the same vigor that there once was. And there is an educational complex that has grown up that sort of continues the orthodoxy that is U.S. business.
I'm not here to criticize U.S. academia, but
You're not?
There are some real issues here.
I was going to give you that opportunity because I knew that you would leap at the opportunity.
Well, there's just some real issues here.
Yeah.
And as a default, if it doesn't occur in universities, that actually gives the think tanks a larger role, which they're not taking up.
Yeah.
Because
By the way, I'm not disappointed in that at all. I think there should be far fewer think tanks because most of them end up being either supplicants at the public trough or, and I think we should probably say with a conjunction here, also lobbying organizations in the guise of a quote-unquote think tank.
They've become very partisan and
they're more
focused.
in the tank than think. And you are a great thinker, and we appreciate you sharing those thoughts.
Well, thank you.
And what do you think of the Xi-Trump meeting? I
think it's going to be very interesting because the potential, if China and the U.S. were to get together on even a partial trade deal, would have such an immense impact. They don't even have to get together, just have to talk as if they're getting together. I don't think what's going on is a trade war. It's a negotiation. It's a bargaining back and forth. That's what we are now.
The President said very clearly, it's a trade dispute.
Okay, all right, there you go.
And he intends to win it.
Yeah.
Paul Bracken, great to have you here.
Good to be here.
Good to see you.